Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Fresh Baked. It is a Wednesday, and that means that we've got a little bit of news for you. We're going to start off with a little talk about Star Tours. There's been a lot of talk about it recently in terms of, what's going to happen to Star Tours once they finish Star Wars Land. And I've been maintaining all along that I believe that Star Tours is a dead ride walking. It's going to live only as long as they keep building Star Wars Land. When it's finished, Star Tours will die. Or beyond that, if it survives that, it'll die as soon as they finish or begin the Tomorrowland, makeover, as it were. For now, though, it's still in Tomorrowland, and according to Disney, we're going to be getting a new scene. When Force Awakens came out, we got a new scene for Jakku. And now with Last Jedi coming out, it sounds like we're going to get a scene from the planet Crate, which is a new planet found in Last Jedi. And I would bet Greedo's paycheck that it's from this scene right here, where with all the ships flying, because that seems like a natural fit for Star Tours. And by the way, this should probably settle any discussion that people have been having about Star Tours existing only in the original saga, the original trilogy plus the prequels, whereas Star Wars Land is going to exist in the new trilogy. That should have been settled already because there's a Jakku scene in Star Tours. But I've been hearing a lot of talk lately about that, and it's curious. But anyway, this should settle that. There is no delineation between the two in that regard. But like I said, we're going to get this, and then, I don't know, 3-4 years, Star Tours will... Bye. Adios, Star Tours. Okay, now have you guys seen Disney's updated release schedule for the films coming up in 2008? Well, actually, the balance of 2017, 2018, 2019, and even beyond 2020. They announced a couple pushbacks for 2020. The release schedule for 2018 is nuts. We've got the Black Panther, the Avengers Infinity War, the Han Solo movie, the Mulan live-action remake, the Mary Poppins follow-up, and Wreck-It Ralph sequel. All this is coming up in 2018, and I think there's even more. But those are the highlights. That is crazy. I mean, do you smell any duds in there? What do you think of that list? Because there's going to be one failure, right? There's usually just one failure where somebody loses a job, and then they always count their billions of dollars. But what do you think is the possible failure there? Maybe the Mary Poppins remake. I don't know. I don't know if there's enough demand for that. I'm personally looking forward to it myself, but I don't really smell any duds there. Now that's good, but 2019 is even better. This is ridiculous. Captain Marvel, another Avengers movie, Star Wars 9, Toy Story 4, Lion King, the live-action Lion King, and Frozen 2. What? My goodness. They are literally going to make like $6 billion that year. And what's funny is that while reading this, there's a follow-up article from, I can't remember, I think it was Vanity Fair, and they're like, hey, the real reason why they readjusted their schedules is because they're afraid of Avatar. They don't want to compete with the Avatar sequels, which were also just recently announced. We're getting 4 Avatar sequels. Like, here's one, and then 10 years later, here's 4 more. Okay, Cameron, I love you, but you're kind of a weirdo. Anyway, but does that lineup reek of fear? Do you think Disney's afraid of anyone when it comes to releasing films? No, not at all. They're not afraid of Avatar or anything else you can throw at them. They will dominate the box office constantly. Obviously, here's what I think. I think that this is some kind of agreement. I think they are trying to negotiate the Avatar sequels, but it's an agreement that they probably have with Cameron to not compete. Not out of fear, but out of politeness, as it were. Especially when you consider they've got a vested interest in the Avatar films doing well because of Pandora. They've got a whole land at Disney World dedicated to this film, so. It makes sense that they want to, give it its own space, even though it's not their property. Speaking of crazy, did you guys happen to get on the unicorn bus at Starbucks? Liz was freaking out about that. She's watching Instagram. She's like, because constantly there's people taking photographs of their unicorn drinks. Anyway, that has passed. But if you missed it, apparently there's the Starbucks at Downtown Disney has come up with the Pink Pegasus, which is some kind of nod or, something like the unicorn drink. And you can get that at Downtown Disney. I only mention that because, I don't know, Pegasuses and unicorns. That's a thing that's happening right now. From my understanding, though, it is missing that sour blue swirl thing that was pretty much the the key factor of the unicorn drink. I didn't get to have one of the unicorns, Liz did, but the word that I'm hearing that describes this thing was confusing. Anyway, go to Downtown Disney. Maybe you guys can get yourself a pink Pegasus. Sounds like fun. All right, so you guys remember I think it was last week or the week before when we went to the Enchanted Chamber at Sleeping Beauty Castle. And we're like, hey, we've never taken a camera in here before. Let's take a look around. Oh my gosh, it's a holiday shop that who knew this was here, et cetera, et cetera. And then like 2 days later, it's closed. Ian and I were walking through Fantasyland and we're like, what the heck? So the Enchanted Chamber, well, it's open again, is no longer a holiday shop. It is now a princess shop, which that little thing keeps moving around from place to place in Fantasyland. But the real news here is that they moved the holiday shop into the Castle Heraldry shop. It's just now called the Castle Holiday Shop. And I don't know what it is about this move. It kind of bothers me a little bit. At first, we thought we were going to lose Castle Heraldry to expand the Peter Pan queue. And I was like, I'm on board with that. Maybe we'll get a fast pass out of it. I think I'm good with that. I love the Castle Heraldry shop, but I was like willing to, because that's the sacrifice I was willing to make for Peter Pan. But this I cannot get my head around. I cannot get my head around why it was thought better to take one of the most unique shops in all of Disney. It's one of a kind. It doesn't exist anywhere else, and it fits perfectly in Fantasyland, and it was great. It was really fun to go in there. And they replaced it with a holiday shop. Like, where's the demand for a holiday shop? Is that a thing now that we have to have one in April? Which, by the way, we already did, and they thought enough of it that they had to... The only thing... It literally makes no sense to me. The only thing that makes sense here is money. That it's a money move. And this is where I kind of wish Disney wasn't so obsessed with the bottom line. And it's very obvious they are. This is a for-profit company, and I get that. But not everything has to be maximum profit, right? I mean, can't you how much more are they making out of the holiday shop than from Castle Heraldry? Is it so much that it's showing up at the end when they go to when they do their, what do you call it, investor meetings or whatever, when they talk to the business partners and they say, hey, look, we had a rough year. Castle Heraldry is it's just dragging us down. We've got to do something about Castle Heraldry. That conversation, I promise you, is not happening. It's just such a minor little blip on the bottom line that why can't you just, unless it was the guys that they couldn't make rent. Is that it? They couldn't make rent? Maybe that's it. I don't know, because it is a third-party shop. It's not a Disney shop. This was, it's kind of like the Magic Shop on Main Street. I sure hope that is it. Well, I guess I feel bad for the guys at Castle Heraldry, but if it's not, for real, I feel bad for saying this, but shame on you, Disney. Shame on you. Make it work. Castle Heraldry was great. And finally, I'm going to close with this. I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about this in the news because it's kind of more of like a commentary, I got something to say type thing. But these news bits have almost sort of replaced those anyway. So Mice Chat posted an article the other day with a rumor about the future of the Eastern Gateway, the new parking structure being constructed across harbor, and how, because we've been talking about how it's been delayed, et cetera, et cetera. And without going into too much detail about it, the problem is the bridge. The bridge is the problem. And when I first put out that video a while back about, the animatics that they had for that, I'm like, what's the big deal? Why are people against it? Well, I figured it out since then. All that foot traffic is being diverted, or that's what Disney's trying to do, is divert all the foot traffic to the bridge so they can send people through the security gate on the other side of harbor before they go into the park. And all the restaurants are saying, and other merchants on harbor are like, hey, you're taking all of our foot traffic. We depend on that. Makes perfect sense. I am with the merchants on this when it comes to that kind of thing. You cannot just, well, I guess you can, but it would really suck for them if they lost that traffic. Now, where I get confused is that Disney has said, hold on, that cross street or that crosswalk at Harbor, you can still cross the street there. You can still enter the park from that crosswalk that exists right in front of, I think it's the Captain Kidd's Buffet or the IHOP. I'm not sure which. Right there. But if that's the case, then where are those guys going to have their bag check? See, the whole point of them rerouting the monorail was so that they could expand into the current transportation hub. Then we'll take that transportation hub that's there now and put it across the street on Harbor, and then move the bag check back there, so that people have to pass through security there instead of on the other side of Harbor. And they want to build more DCA out of what's currently at the transportation hub. So if people are going to cross the street at Harbor, on the ground rather than over the bridge, well, how do they get in the park, and where are their bags going to be checked? Are they going to create a second bag check? Because the plans that were released initially for this Eastern Gateway project did not include that. The plans did not include anything about a second bag check. Their plan was to reroute everything to the bridge. So while on the one hand, Disney's saying you can still cross the street, on the other hand, they're saying, no, you can't, because you need to go back. Not only if you want to go if you want to get into Disneyland, that is, you have to go back to the transportation hub on the other side of Harbor. It is weird, okay? And that's what rather than get into this, hopefully I'm going to talk to you guys. We're going to do a live stream later on today. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, a live stream later on today about 7 o'clock tonight, Wednesday tonight, on Fresh Bake Presents, and we're going to discuss all the open projects right now: Star Wars Land, Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Eastern Gateway, the transportation hub. And I want to talk about this at length because I got a lot to say about this, and I feel my feelings have changed about the hub, and I want to share. So check us out, Fresh Bake Presents. Turn on your notifications and look for that live stream today at 7. And that's it for our news this week, guys. We'll see you next week. And until then, Fresh Bake stuff. Bye, guys. We got a new scene from Jakku. And this year, for now, though, it's still in Tomorrowland. Oh, boy.